Hello, once again. Welcome to Scroll Sessions. This is a weekly show. I'm thinking about making it bi-weekly. I think that means every other week, right? Bi-weekly? I don't know what that means. I'll have to look it up. This is Scroll Session, the bisexual bi-weekly show where I talk about whatever it is that I'm interested in at the time. You'll never fit this show into a box. And if you ever come to expect something from the show, I'll change it. I will never be what you want me to be, whatever that is. I don't know what that is. I can't be even what I want to be. I can't even be what this avatar that you're looking at right now wants to be. Because of the nowness of right now, of the moment. In this nowness, in the isness of this moment, I am whatever it is. I'm surrendering to the moment. Okay, and I'm learning to do so by reading a certain book by a certain Tibetan Buddhist teacher named Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. Okay? And this is his book, Cutting Through Material Spiritualism. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably saying, Mark, is Chogyam Trungpa actually a Jewish guy named Donald Goldstein that changed his name? And on most cases, you would be right about that. You'd be absolutely correct because that's usually what happens. Ram Dass, one of the greatest teachers of meditation in Buddhism and just one of the greatest gurus of all time, in my opinion, was a Jewish man named Richard Alpert. But in this case, Chogyam Trungpa is actually from Tibet. His nationality is Tibetan. He is a Asian person, so you can trust his teachings a little bit deeper. You know, when you see a white man with a receding hairline and a full beard smiling at you, and you're like, you tend to not trust him, right? When he's teaching when he's teaching Buddhism or meditation or something, you tend to, I don't know about this guy. He's an American, you know, he's a white American guy. How much could he know about Buddhism? But Ram Dass knew a lot about Buddhism. He knew a lot about the path. He knew a lot about the now. He knew about the moment, and I'm sure many would agree with me that he was fully surrendered to the in the moment, and that's what people got out of him was that he was in the moment with them. Anybody that knew him. This is a picture of Chogyam Trungpa. So there shall be no doubt in your mind that this guy knows what he's talking about. That he's the real deal. He's an actual Tibetan monk, and he came to America probably for the blonde white women, you know what I mean? That's what I would think, that he got bored, came out of his hermitage or out of his being a monk, out of the nowness of being a monk, and he's like, I want to experience the nowness of the California girls, you know, and who would blame him, right? So he has written this book, which I don't remember. I'll have to look at this book. When was this published? So this book, Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism, was written, let's see, I should know this, but I don't at the moment. If I can find it. This version that I have was released in 2002, and I believe it's based off of recorded talks that he gave to his students. Yeah, the following series of talks was given in Boulder, Colorado in the fall of 1970 and the spring of 1971. At that time, we were just forming Karma Zhang, our meditation center in Boulder. So, and they transcribed it and turned it into a book. But there's a chapter in here called Sense of Humor, which I really liked, and it reminded me of someone, and I'll tell you who that is, or maybe you can guess who it reminds me of at the end of me reading this. So I'm going to read it to you. It would be interesting to examine this subject in terms of what is not a sense of humor. Lack of humor seems to come from the attitude of the hard fact, quote unquote. Things are very hard and deadly honest, deadly serious, like, to use an analogy, a living corpse. He lives in pain, has continual expression of pain on his face. He has experienced some kind of hard fact, reality. He is deadly serious and has gone so far as to become a living corpse. The rigidity of this living corpse expresses the opposite of a sense of humor. It is as though somebody is standing behind you with a sharp sword. If you are not meditating properly, sitting still and upright, there will be somebody behind you just about to strike. Or if you are not dealing with life properly, honestly, directly, someone is just about to hit you. This is the self-consciousness of watching yourself, observing yourself unnecessarily. Whatever we do is constantly being watched and censored. Actually, it is not Big Brother who is watching. It is Big Me. Another aspect of me is watching me, behind me, just about to strike, just about to pinpoint my failure. There is no joy in this approach, no sense of humor at all. This kind of seriousness relates to the problem of spiritual materialism as well. Inasmuch as I am part of a particular lineage of meditators associated with the church and its organization, because of my religious commitment, I must be a good boy or girl, an honest, good, church-going person. I must conform to the standards of the church, its rules and regulations. If I do not fulfill my obligations, I will be condemned, reduced to a shrunken body. There is the threat of solemnity in death. Death in the sense of an end to any further creative process. This attitude has the feeling of limitation, rigidity. There is no room to move about at all. You might ask them, what about the great religious traditions, the teachings? They speak of discipline, rules, and regulations. How do we reconcile this? The notion of a sense of humor. Well, let's examine the question properly. Are the regulations, the discipline, the practice of morality really based on the purely judgmental attitude of good as opposed to bad? Are the great spiritual teachings really advocating that we fight evil because we are on the side of light, the side of peace? Are they telling us to fight against other undesirable side, the bad and the black? That is a big question. If there is wisdom in the sacred teachings, then there should not be any war. As long as a person is involved with warfare, trying to defend or attack, then his action is not sacred. It is mundane, dualistic, a battlefield situation. One would not expect the great teachings to be as simple-minded as that, trying to be good, fighting the bad. Such would be the approach of the Hollywood Western movie. Even before you have seen the conclusion, you already know precisely that the goodies will not be killed and the baddies are going to get smashed. This approach is obviously simple-minded, but it is just this type of situation that we are creating in terms of spiritual struggle, spiritual achievement. I'm not saying that a sense of humor could be wildly unleashed. I am speaking of seeing something more than just warfare, struggle, duality. If we regard the path of spirituality as a battlefield, then we are weak and feeble. Then our progress on the path will depend upon how great an area we have conquered, upon the subjugation of our own and others' faults, upon how much negativity we have eliminated, relative to how dark you have, relative to how much dark you have eliminated, that much light you have been able to produce. That is very feeble. One could hardly call it liberation or freedom or mukti or nirvana. You have achieved liberation by defending, God damn it. You have achieved liberation by defeating someone else. It is purely relative. I do not want to make a sense of humor into something solemn. I am afraid that people are going to do that. But in order to really understand rigidity, that which is represented by the corpse, one cannot avoid the danger of making a sense of humor into a serious thing. Sense of humor means seeing both poles of a situation as they are, from an aerial point of view. There is good and there is bad, and you see both with a panoramic view, as though from above. Then you begin to feel that these little people on the ground killing each other or making love or just being little people are very insignificant in the sense that if they begin to make a big deal of their warfare or their lovemaking, then we begin to see the ironic aspect of their clamor. If we try very hard to build something tremendous, really meaningful, powerful, I'm really searching for something, I'm really trying to fight my faults, or I'm really trying to be good, then it loses its seriousness, becomes a paper tiger. It is extremely ironic. Sense of humor seems to come from all-pervading joy. Joy which has room to expand into a completely open situation, because it is not involved with the battle between this and that. Joy develops into the panoramic situation of seeing or feeling the whole ground, the open ground. This open situation has no hint of limitation or imposed solemnity. And if you do try to treat life as a serious business, if you try to impose solemnity upon life as though everything is a big deal, then it is funny. Why such a big deal? Why so serious? Right? Why so serious? Very profound. This is, and it just tells me that Chogyam Trungpa really understood humor. He probably understood a lot of things very deeply because he lived in the moment, right? The dualistic nature of things, the war. This cup represents it. You have the Rebel Alliance right here and the First Order symbol right here. So it forces you to pick a side, right? Or to have both sides on a mug and happily with joy drink black coffee out of it and laugh at the whole situation of the war. Now, maybe you will be like Arjuna, and you'll have to be a part of the war because that's the situation you're in. And I can't remember who it is because I haven't read the Bhagavad Gita entirely, but I've heard a lot about it. I've heard people talk about it. So Arjuna's just thinking that he's not cut out for the war. You know, he's not cut out to be a soldier. He has all of these doubts, all of these self-doubts, and he doesn't want to partake in it. I think that's what it's supposed to be. And I believe it's either Vishnu or Krishna. I can't remember which. Somebody help me out here if you've made it this far in the video. Comment. Is it Vishnu or Krishna that told Arjuna to just join the war? Be the soldier that you are. This is the moment that you're in. You cannot avoid it. You have to be the soldier. Get your ass in the war and fight. Was that Krishna that told him that? I don't know. Somebody help me out here. So, the whole point of this video and the whole point of me reading that passage is because it deals with comedy, it deals with a sense of humor, and everybody's taking things so seriously. And I'll tell you a personal story. I stopped doing this show, which I really had fun doing last year. I had a lot of fun doing it in a very dark time. I started doing the show right before the coronavirus started. And then so I was like, oh, I'm justified in staying inside my house all day. Now I can do more podcasts, And I started to kind of burn myself out on doing them. And then the social unrest happened, and I'm not even going to get into it because it's a bummer, Why are you so serious, right? Like the Joker says, and like Chogyam Trungpa says at the end of this passage that I read, why such a big deal? Why are you making such a big deal out of everything? And when a big group of people make a big deal out of one thing, then it becomes funny because it's a pattern that people have fallen into. They've been brainwashed into falling into it. And then it becomes funny. And they do things that are very unfunny. People are killing each other in the streets. But there is a humor that can be found in this. And I hope that you guys can find it. I'm going to be very solemn and serious now and say, I really hope that you can find peace. And that you can not only find peace, but if you're in a war situation, I hope that you can find war, that you can fully participate in it, and that you come out on the other side a better person, and that you don't get blown up or something horrible that I don't even want to imagine. Blood and guts. The worst thing that could happen to you is that you could be like what he says in that passage, what Chogyam Trungpa says in the passage, the living corpse, to be a zombie, basically. And then you when you're a zombie like that, you kind of fall into one side or the other, politically or religiously or whatever, and you fall into taking things seriously, and you basically make that what your life is about. And that's when someone like me will come along and not take it seriously, because that's who I am. I am a living manifestation of the fool archetype. I am a god. I am here to make fun of you and your patterns and your seriousness. So have a great day, everyone. Have a great day living in the moment and being here now in everything that you do. Every situation you find yourself in, fully be in that situation. Fully be in the situation and deal with it accordingly. Whatever's required of you, whether it's to make peace, to make war, to be neutral, do it to the fullest extent and be in that situation, whatever the situation demands of you. Have a beautiful, what's today? It doesn't matter what today is. Have a beautiful day. It's Friday, but who gives a fuck? We don't have any rules. We're beyond rules and schedules, aren't we? We are beyond that. We've organized and designed our lives to be beyond time and schedules and the 9 to 5, quote unquote, which always turns into a 12-hour shift, right? Or it becomes 9 to 5 becomes a 6 to 6, And you're working for somebody that you hate. You're doing a job that you're comfortable with because you know what you're doing. Fuck all that. We're beyond that. We've designed a life that is beyond that, haven't we? And good for us, because we are the best. We have conquered. We have strategically moved in and taken ground in this war against the square, against the mediocre, against those who would rather be living corpses, against those who would rather be little gray men with lunch pails, little gray men with their little gray lives and their little gray wives and their little gray children, just living life, getting old, getting fat, never living in the moment, just being comfortable being a living corpse, never taking risk, never taking chance. Is that what you want to be? I didn't think so. Thanks for watching. I highly recommend this if your Christian brain can handle it, which my Christian brain had to fragment and break into a bunch of pieces before I could even start to understand this type of shit. It had to shift around and do all kinds of weird things in order for me to be able to really be in the now, be here now. I recommend starting out, if you're starting out in a Buddhist type of philosophy, Buddhist type of practice, or if you're just interested in it, check out any Jewish man that has changed his name to some weird Buddhist name, and listen to those guys, because they're really good. They're really humorous. I could name off a bunch of them, but I'm not going to do that. That's a boring task, okay? Go find yourself a Jewish man who is converted to Buddhism and changed his name, or woman. There's a lot of Jewish women, too, that have converted to Buddhism, and that's where you can start your journey. Or if you're an atheist, you could start out with Sam Harris, or Dan Harris, or Mark Harris, or Mike Harris, or Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche Harris, or Raghu Marcus Harris, or any of those kind of guys. If you're an atheist, If you're an atheist, you need somebody that's logical and doesn't add any type of spirituality or warmth to what he's doing, or no sense of humor, So you'd want to read 10% Happier by Dan Harris. That's another good book I recommend if you're getting into meditation. Before I start to get too serious with this video and take myself too seriously, talking into a fucking screen, the epitome of narcissism, before I get too narcissistic and I start judging myself and judging you for watching this, and judging everybody, and judging YouTube, and judging Joe Biden, judging Trump for coming back in 2024 and winning. Before I start judging all of those things, I'm going to end the video. I love you guys. Keep watching. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Please, like and subscribe. I can't do this show without you. What would I do without my viewers?